going backward with the sled that allowed me to get off painkillers. If you elevate those heels enough, every guy in the team could get all the way down. Honored to be here.
Yep.
Nervous. I'm only 34, but at 16 I bought my first Prowler sled from Elite FTS. So this is pretty cool for me.
No, I'm excited to hear what you guys say.
Yeah, and I'm even more excited to hear what he has to say. I don't have anything to teach Dave Tate, but Dave Tate worked very closely with Louie Simmons, and I studied under Charles Poliquin. And so there's two things I want to show that I think most people would see a common denominator between Louie and Charles, and I have a feeling Dave will have more to add. So it was 15 years ago for me that I started from seeing it on T Nation. It was actually Charles Poliquin was talking about it, going backward with the sled, that allowed me to get off painkillers for my knees. So I would just there was a gym, they had a sled, I'd take it out to the parking lot, but it was so cool that it was almost like the harder I was working, dragging the sled, my knee pain started to go down. Started being able to play basketball again. Now, when you take a step backward, you're actually in a position with your knee over your toes.
Yes.
And this is the part that I want to connect Louie and Charles, and Dave can even put in any notes on this. So Louie Simmons brought about this idea of a sled as a form of resistance. I mean, according to legend, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but what I was told is that he saw powerlifters in Eastern Europe who worked in the forestry industry dragging trees.
Yeah, it's close. We had a visitor that he stayed with us for a long time. His name was Sakari. I can't pronounce his last name, but he told Louie that that's one of the things that they were doing. So it's true, but there was a in-between person.
Yep.
And so Sakari brought a lot, to the gym.
Yeah.
And the sled dragging was one of those.
Nice.
Just because of what you were saying, they had the higher deadlifts.
Yep.
And were stronger, and they were dragging the logs out of forest.
Amazing. Good to get it from the source. So Charles Poliquin, who at the time specialized in training Olympic athletes, mostly track and field Olympic athletes. He helped a lot of athletes win a lot of medals in Olympic track and field. He apparently came and learned with Louie in person. And Charles added this backward dragging. So if he had an Olympic athlete who was coming off a knee injury, not going to be able to compete in the Olympics, they would do this like every day because you could recover fast. Now, Charles progressed that in a number of ways to doing reverse step-ups like this, to the point that using a slant and doing not stepping up here, but stepping up here became known, at least in some circles, as a Poliquin step-up. Now, if you look at this exact position, I'm trying to, without pain, I'm trying to control my body on the way down, whereas with the sled, I'm able to get that same, when I step back, I'm in that same position, but I'm not having to handle the way down.
There's no eccentric.
So my system, if you watch my videos, I've said at least in 100 videos, maybe 1,000. I progress people, you're going on the sled backward to then trying to handle that on the way down. And even this scales, you don't even have to use the full slant. Just as if you were hiking downhill, and if you had something to hold on to, if you had a walking stick, and if it wasn't too steep and you took a small step, so just about anyone could get in here. This is then when I started being like, okay, I can actually work that knee position. Now here, with a farther reach, so now to like, as a maintenance, I found that for basketball, you can load, you can get more complex. I found that high reps, control here, this is like my 80-20, 20% of the effort complexity. This gives me like 80% of the result. But that's what I wanted to show, is that Louie with a powerlifting, and then Charles coaching people more on like an Olympic lifting style squat. But if you actually look at the systems, Louie brought to the table this backward walking.
You just filled in a gap that we'll discuss more on the podcast. Is with the sled dragging, one of the benefits that we were using it for is because it's removing a lot of the eccentric.
Yep.
So it's concentric, concentric, concentric. So it's helping with the recovery.
Exactly.
Being done on off days, it's helping with the warm up without negating performance as you would get later. So when I would watch your stuff, I didn't connect those two, because I'm like, where I get it, like I get that strengthening of the knee, I get the quad and all that, but it's like, there's no eccentric.
Yeah.
You need the eccentric for the stability.
Yep.
and that's what you put it. So when you first started doing the sled work for your knees, did you add in the eccentric?
This was later.
This was later, okay.
It was like some years of patching it all together, just reading T-Nation articles but yeah, that's what I wanted to show is that even though someone might think of Charles Poliquin and Louie Simmons as different systems, this is a real congruency right here. That Louie was, and I mean, every time you walked backward, like you've probably done more steps with your knee over toes than I have.
I don't know about that, but close.
Yeah. So this position because the whole no knees over toes thing could be a bit confusing. And so if someone thinks of that as an absolute no knees over toes, well, even in the powerlifting world, you guys were training knees over toes. And then now for Charles Poliquin, to actually get really specific, he then got into this when training Canadian downhill skiers, where at the time it was like everyone on the team had a knee surgery. And then within a couple Olympic cycles, they were like, no knee surgeries, cleaning up metal. So this is just a step-by-step progression from that.
Yes.
That was the main thing I wanted to show.
No, that's great. That connects.
And it's not even teaching you anything. It's just connecting those worlds.
Yeah, it's connecting it.
Yeah. Anything more you want to add on this one? Okay, cool. You want to see the second one?
Yeah.
All right. The only second thing I wanted to show connecting these worlds is Charles Poliquin, Louie Simmons, I thought of as two different systems because of the squat. So you have a powerlifting squat and you have an Olympic weightlifting squat. Then when coaching, strength coaching, a high school football team, their favorite lift was I would have them get a comfortable stance. They would control the weight, but they would use the chains and they would go all the way down. So Louie Simmons invented and or popularized chains, right? So if someone looks at this, see with the football guys, they didn't want to do an Olympic squat all the way down because they couldn't get as much load here.
Yes.
But in my experience, having something in the regimen to let those joints, particularly controlling here for athletes. So I think bouncing is fine, but for sheer athletic development, my favorite was actually having guys not bounce, but own. So here, I'm weaker than I am in the top half. So by using the chains, then they could get a challenge. They could get a challenge through their full range. So they didn't have to choose between a powerlifting or Olympic weightlifting squat. So that was the only other thing I wanted to show, is that I think those two worlds can still blend for, I'm not saying I would suggest that for a powerlifter because you're getting into specific techniques on your squat, but for someone who's not a powerlifter, who's like a football player or someone who's training, even for me, like if I have a choice, that's gonna be my go-to vertical jump exercise.
Okay.
That's my personal king of vertical jump exercises. Controlling, like what can I own through a full range of motion, but use the chain to still work the top portion.
Now, what if their mobility won't let them get ass to grass or as low as what you're looking for?
Excellent question.
Because they're gonna fall forward, right?
Yep, excellent question. Now, the reason I'm into these is right now, I volunteer coach about 100 high school students. And so there's only space for 2 squat racks. It's not a huge weight room. So I'm able to line up these and get some good work. But there's wider ones for barbell squatting. And so for the ankle, for the mobility, so every football guy on the team, they might go, as you can see, they might go a little bit wider than a wood slant board like this. But I would just have them find a level that's comfortable. So now, if you elevate those heels enough, every guy in the team could get all the way down.
Okay.
And then separately, you've got exercises for mobility and stuff.
Yes.
So it's easy for people to attack and say, oh, you're using that as a Band-Aid for mobility. No, like I do other things for my mobility. And when I coach people, elevate or don't to what's comfortable for you.
Okay.
And no one was forced, but on the whole team, this is what the guys gravitated to. Controlling all the way down, but with the chains.
Yes.
so you can get that acceleration, the heavier weight at the top.
All right, well, so the chains are also going to alleviate that pitching forward when they hit that tight spot at the bottom, because the low is way less.
Yeah, the chains would actually encourage guys to go deeper because it would get a little lighter as they would go down.
Yeah. And if you want to take it a step further, when you did that rep, if you go back and watch that rep, you can hear the chains until you don't hear the chains. So if you set the chains up right, when you're in the bottom position, you're not going to hear the chains anymore.
And you probably have videos on accurately setting up the chain.
Yeah, well, it would be, it could be specific to who that athlete is, right? Because they may only be able to get so far, and that's where they are for that time period.
Yeah.
Right. So then when the chain, you just set the chains up so they hear it. They don't hear it, they know they can come back up again. Yeah. Then as they progress, change the chain, you know, hear it, or change it without them knowing. So then they end up going lower.
That's awesome.
For that.
Yeah. So those are the two things that I thought, not new information for you, but just showing that, like for me in my coaching experience, my gym, I coached over 100,000 sessions because I wasn't a personal trainer. It was group based.
Yeah.
And so I did some general math, kept track, like over 100,000 sessions that I've had people sled and full range of motion, these kind of things. And you can see how it's for me, it was a blend of those two worlds.
Okay.
Of Louie and Charles.
No, that was great. That was great.
And any other Louie Charles blends you want to touch on, post-steer, different things where they actually, you know, had similar ideas?
We'll start the podcast with that.
There you go.
Right, because it's a little bit longer story than post before the podcast.
Perfect.
So it'll be a perfect lead into it.
Perfect.
But thank you for this. This was great.
Thank you.